Welcome everybody to our Panasas webinar, one of many in our series. This one is entitled Data Analytics and Data Movement at Scale with PanView and PanMove. I'm Richie Waikawa. I'm the Senior Director of Strategic Marketing at Panasas, and I'm joined once again by Sean Dutton, our Panasas Senior Solutions Architect. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you, Richie. Hello, I'm Sean Dutton, Solution Architect here at Panasas for PanMove and PanView.
Hey, remember last week you had done an install on PanMove. Maybe you could just even sort of kick things off with just letting us know how that went.
Yeah, we were on site with the customer last week, and the customer was talking to us about an opportunity they had to where they needed to move data from one Panasas realm to another. And so it was a great opportunity to demo the PanMove advanced functionality with the customer, show them what we can do. So within an hour, we were able to get a VM up, get PanMove installed, and the data moving. It took us, a little under about 6 hours, I would say, to move, quite a few hundred terabytes of data. And, it was successful. The customer really enjoyed being able to do the demo, and we're happy with the success.
Nice. That's great. Well, it's a pleasure doing another webinar with you. We are joined by our webinar producer, Ila Aurora, who is monitoring our chat and QAs with us. So if you do have any issues with audio or anything to do with Zoom, please put it into the chat, or if that doesn't work, into the Q&A, and hopefully she'll be able to help you with that. And additionally, we will be using the Q&A for you to enter questions, which we'll be answering at the end of the webinar. And so today, I will start us off and talk a bit about the why. Why is there a need for this? And then Sean would follow up with a little more details on what and how of the product. So with that, let's begin. Okay. So here we are. This is a little background on those of you who aren't familiar with Panasas. We're coming up on our 24th birthday this year. We came out of the labs at Carnegie Mellon University, and we're one of the first parallel file systems to address the open systems market. We're the first one to provide a commercially available system for Linux. Our core technologies are really our PanFS. We call this our operating system. It includes the parallel file system, and you'll see we talk a lot about the software suite that we surround PanFS with for including the PanMove and PanView products. We run this today on our active store turnkey appliances, of which we have a family of those, and we'll talk about the different products that we have in that space. But just quickly, we are built on a DNA of reliability, as you could tell from our co-founder and all. And so that is a baseline of what we provide to the marketplace, something you don't have to worry about, with the idea that we've commercialized something to make it easy to use, easy to manage. These are some of the principles. It's, of course, performant, and we'll talk about scalability and how that is actually changing. The idea of parallel file systems, of course, is that they should be scalable to the more you add capacity, the higher performance and the higher, and there's no limit to what you can achieve from adding the capabilities of additional capacity. We primarily address 6 vertical markets. We've had the privilege really of working with some of the largest customers in the marketplace and helping to bring their solutions to marketplace. In particular, in academia, for example, we have worked with over 100 worldwide universities. I invite you to actually look at our landing page. There's a lot of references to the work that these institutions are doing and some of the leading edge discoveries that they're making and using with our technology involved. So we're really proud of that. A couple of them I did want to highlight is the University of Wollongong in Australia, the work that they're doing and leading in terms of cryogenic electron microscopy. It's the incredible work down in Wollongong, Australia. And then our marquee university that I'm really honored that we're working with is the Minnesota Supercomputing Institute. We've been working with them for well over a decade on their latest gate compute cluster. Over 4,400 users are using our platform, and they're doing research in things from ecology to veterinarian science, energy grids. So much being done with at the universities, and I just wanted to highlight that. And here's my why slide. Sean, you may have to reel me in a little here. I'll try to keep this a little brief. But as you can tell, there is this confluence of what I call vectors happening in the marketplace. The underlying one that we know, of course, is that there's this data growth that is continuing to happen. It's happening with unstructured data in the HPC marketplace as well. But alongside that, there's this redefinition of happening around HPC. HPC before was traditional mod sim type work and all. Analytics became part of it. Now AI, we're in this trend where, it's enhanced AI, augmented AI, and effectively workloads now moving to workflows where the integration of mod sim with analytics, with machine learning integrated within a workflow is this continuous process of concurrency, of needing to be able to process multiple things just to solve a problem. We start off, and then overlaying, of course, this is the cloud, that there is this need to integrate in with the cloud and be able to store, to be able to process, to be able to archive into the cloud in conjunction with what you're doing on-prem. So this consolidation element also is in terms of many islands, especially if you think about academia, many islands of HPC coming together and consolidating. Often the baseline for consolidation ends up being around the storage platform, which would support many different type of workloads and users. I think what's interesting is the data of this mixed workload is that is the Intercept 360 research even talks about 2/3 of all HPC systems today are actually running machine learning with it. I kind of want to point out, I'm going here, there's this CFD, so computational fluid dynamics is a great example of this work from being a mixed workload to a hybrid integrated workflow. I reference this work from Dmitry Kokov and Jamie Smith at Google, who wrote this paper about ML accelerated computational fluid dynamics, where you can actually replace a lot of the computational work with machine learning. And in fact, you can increase the performance to get to you close off your simulations up to 86-fold is what they're showing. There's also work in the seismic imaging place where it's not just about replacing compute processing, but the human processing, where in seismic imaging, there's a lot of, and even with, like, if you think of healthcare in terms of imaging there's a lot of interaction with human beings that machine learning could actually augment that work. And so both compute and human processing being integrated into this workflow of what HPC is now becoming as we move. It's sort of this entropy, if you will, of all these vectors happening. And the one thing that is calling for really is this need for visibility and mobility, and hence the data management capabilities. And that's what we'll talk about shortly. So what did we do about that? So PanFS, I talked about our software suite. So if you go from left to right, we start off with our base file system. Our elements of it, our client, our supporting of protocols, the manageability, all the things that we do to make it easy to actually run and monitor your system. We added security a couple of years ago. So we're adding layers of security for somebody's approach to be able to provide a system level security. We do it at the drives themselves with hardware-based encryption at rest. We support policy-based systems with like SE Linux and other policy managers, as well as extending from a file access with extended ACLs. But what we've done in terms of data mobility and visibility is we've added a family of products. And we have some baseline products that we're continuing to move forward, our PanMove Sync and PanView CLI that Sean will speak about later. But we also collaborated with Tempo, who's been in this data management, data protection business for over 3 decades and all. And so integrating with our PanFS and with the Tempo, we're able to bring to market several products. We'll talk about PanMove. We'll have a family of 3 products, advanced backup and archive, and with our PanView and analytics package for that as well. In fact, here is a picture, if you will, of our suite of software surrounding this PanFS suite that we talk about and all the elements within it. The work we did with Tempo is not too different from on the security front, where we teamed with a leader in with KMix servers and key management in Talus, and in using their Cipher Trust Manager product. But all this, the PanFS runs on top of our hardware platform. We have a portfolio of hardware that we launched last year, a couple more products. We have an all-flash product called ActiveStore Flash. We have a hybrid, and we have a large capacity product, the Ultra and Ultra XL. We have our Director product for managing of metadata and all. And then we have our ActiveStore IB router, which does our Ethernet to IB interface. Finally, I did want to talk about PanMove and PanView for setting with Sean. So this family of products. So on PanView, for PanMove, we actually have a PanMove Sync, which is a basic data movement CLI. It's really a parallel rsync product for POSIX systems. It is included with PanFS. And then from a license perspective, we provide our PanMove Advanced, which is an on-demand copy move sync. It works with PanMove. It provides access to the cloud, so you can, again, you can store, you can process, you can with the archive product, you can archive it into the cloud, and it works with the S3 interface object store. Add-on products to the PanMove. So once you have PanMove, you can add on a PanMove backup, which backups to nearline, policy-based movement scheduler, and it actually works with heterogeneous storage products, so other NAS and file system products. The PAM archive, also an add-on to, a separate add-on to PanMove Advanced. It archives to a cold tier, including also to tape and optical devices, and it supports heterogeneous environments. The PanView side, so we have a basic fast discovery of PanFS. It's a CLI. It provides you aggregated statistics, metrics, and the ability to export to visualization tools like Grafana, Tableau. This is included with PanFS. And then our PanView Analytics, which actually scans and views a heterogeneous environment of including PanFS. It allows you to do discovery, analysis, and decide what you want to do. And this is included with our PanMove Advanced product. And with that, Sean, I will turn over to you to talk in more detail about PanMove and PanView.
I appreciate it, Richio, if you don't mind driving for me.
Yep.
So let's talk about PanMove Advanced, right? It's in an overview, it's a scalable, seamless data movement platform that gives you the ability to easily drag, drop data from a source to a target. This target could be either heterogeneous storage, as Richio mentioned, or even within the cloud or S3 that might be on-prem. And then we have those backup, the add-ons that are PanMove Backup and PanMove Archive. But we're going to go deeper into PanMove Advanced and what comes with that. So Richio, next slide, please. So here's an architecture overview of what an environment looks like that has PanMove Advanced within it. As you can see on the left, there's multiple Panasas ultra arrays that you can use as source or as targets. So you can move from an ultra to an ultra XL. So if you have data that you're looking to like move for long term, you can move that to an XL, which is more of a slower, deeper capacity-based system. Or you can actually move it to the cloud, right? We have integrations with AWS, Azure, or Google. So you can take the data, if you're looking to do some processing within the cloud, move that data from on-prem to the cloud and use the cloud's GPUs to actually do your processing. Also, we have the ability to do any S3 object storage. So if you have on-prem S3 type storage that you're running, we can use that to move onto that. What customers, having conversations with customers and trying to get to understand where this would fit into their environment. We actually were speaking with a customer not too long ago where they have kind of on the edge of their data center users that are generating data on these smaller systems, but they only could afford one large compute environment. So they were trying to figure out how can they get the data from these edge environments into their centralized core that's connected to their compute to be able to manipulate the data, run their applications. So being able to use PanMove Advanced will solve that, right? It's kind of a spoken hub type scenario where you have these outliers that are sitting outside of the data center and you're able to move those within. Next slide, Richa. So this is a picture of the GUI and how simple it is. As you can see, there's really only 12 options on the left that you really have to manipulate. So if you're looking to do a data move, Easy Move is the easiest option. It's just a couple clicks. You select the source on the left side, you select the target on the right, and you create the task. Data migration, backup, and archive are very similar in creating the tasks that you would need for scheduling. And then under task is all the task lists that you've created that may be running or completed, so you're able to see kind of what's going on within the environment. And then for configurations, we have repositories. This is your source and destination of where the data resides or is going to. Policies is just that, right? Policies for scheduling, moving the data, backing up the data. Your infrastructure are the agents. This is your server, your PanMove Advanced server, and PanMove Advanced agents. So as you scale and need different data movers, you would go into the infrastructure and add these additional data movers into the GUI. Also, users, right? You might want for users to have different capabilities. If you sit there and move data and you want a user, okay, this user can do these tasks. They can move data from one source to one destination. Or even if you're doing archiving, a user could actually go in and look at, all right, this is the data I had archived, and be able to restore that data. It kind of takes that middleman out of the scenario. The last three, the jobs, any activity that's running on the server would be under the jobs. You have logs that show you kind of the success of what's going on. And parameters. Parameters is a key field for when you start looking at how many threads I need for this this workload, right? To be able to improve my performance on data move. So the GUI is simple, and we'll be able to get into that a little more. We'll go into the next slide.
Oh, let me also add a little clarification in terms of this is the capability of the GUI and all, but it is, so our products are licensed and add-on licenses. So for example, if you don't have the backup or archiving, the menus will be there, but they'll be grayed out. You just want to have access to it until you have the add-on license, and then they'll be enabled. But it's the same interface and all now enabled to do those features.
That's correct. Thanks for that update. So some considerations and when you're looking at PanMove events, the capacity of the data that you're trying to move, your SLAs around how fast you need that data moved, what that data is coming from, over which protocol that you're trying to move it off of or onto. So you can move from NFS to PanFS or PanFS to PanFS. The type of network, 10 gig, 20, 25 gig, destination and capacity of the destination storage, the number of files and folders, right? The larger the number of files, the longer the crawl takes, and how long you need to keep that event information. So these are all considerations that you have to have when you're looking at sizing your PanMove server, advanced server. And we're here to help that. If you go into the next slide, we'll go into a little bit more details of what those servers look like. So for a small environment, you're looking at, dual processor, 8-core with 32 gigs of memory. And for a larger environment, you're looking at, 16 cores with 64 gigs of RAM and multiple 10 gig links. We really, for the smaller environment, it could be a virtual machine. For the larger environment, you're really looking for kind of a bare metal environment to have all the resources on that server. Next slide. So for data movers are there to be able to help you scale out your performance of the movement, right? These are individual servers that gives you parallel processing across more links. So when you start looking at, all right, how much data I have, how much data movers will I need, right? They gave you failover, load balancing, multiple threads. So if your SLA is pretty fast, you have a small window to get data moved, you'll have to start looking at, okay, I need multiple data movers, getting this data parallelized across multiple to get to the within that window. The data movers themselves, they do the copy, the move, and the sync. They actually can do from data mover to data mover. You can do secure copy across. So if you have a concern of moving data from out edge site to internal and you need that secure, you can put a data mover on the edge site and have it securely talk to a data mover internally and have that encrypted. The next. And so data movers, when you're starting to kind of consider what's the sizing of that. So for a small environment, less than 200 terabytes, the PanMove Advanced server itself has the data mover agent running on it. So you can actually use it as your data mover. For anything above 200 to 500, we start recommending multiple data movers. This, 16 cores, 32 gigs of memory, multiple 10 gig links. This gives you some redundancy within the environment that should a data mover go down, you still have the ability to keep moving, right? It balances across multiple data movers. So if one goes down, the other one will, once it's finished its task, pick up where the other one left off. So some considerations. Next slide, please. Here are the PanMove, the data movers supported operating systems. This compatibility matrix changes often. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. We can make sure that the OS that you're looking at is supported. And there's some considerations here. If you're looking at putting a data mover on a client that is running PanFS, we want to make sure that those are both running on compatible OSs. Next slide, please. PanMove Analytics. This comes with PanMove Advanced. It gives you a holistic view of of your whole data center, right? You can look at all the storage within your data center, identify what kind of data you're having within your realms. If there's any cold data or any way of, reducing your storage costs by archiving, you'll be able to see and give you nice graphical images of what this looks like and where you can go. Next slide. So here's a GUI interface of what PanView Analytics looks like. So the dashboard itself is, you can manipulate it, you can customize it to the views that you want to see. It will tell you, the largest volumes, the largest files, how long the files have been there, the aging of the files, the type of storage, what is the storage capacity, how much storage you have remaining. And now you could take this information and make business justification on being able to move data from one realm to another, adding the add-ons to back up or archive, moving data from on-prem to the cloud. It gives you all that information that you need to be able to make those justifications. Next slide, please. So what PanView Analytics also gives you is it does a crawl of all your files. So now you can take that information and do searches and analytics within that data. If you start thinking about, there used to be a huge issue in the past where people would back up all their MP3s on their work storage to have backups, prior to the cloud. And so as a storage admin, we would have to go in there and do searches for MP3s and, try to find out who's doing this backup, because it would take up lots of space and fill up our storage. So this kind of gives you that, 2023 look at that MP3 issue that we faced early in the days. But it's the same thing, right? Gives you that ability. Customers use it for types of data, social security numbers, right? You want to make sure social security numbers or credit card information, things of that there's information that needs to be known about data is not, or may be in there that you need. Next slide, please. So PanView, and it also, here it shows cold data, right? If data is sitting on your production environment and is cold and it's been sitting idle for over a year, that's something you might want to move off. Aging, reduce costs by archiving with PanMove Archive, PanMove Advanced Backup, moving it off. You might have some older storage, GPFS, that might be sitting in the corner unutilized, using it as a backup target to get the most out of your production environment and moving off to these slower, older legacy type storage infrastructure. Sorry, I had to. So PanView Analytics, here's some considerations, to really think about, right? OS, of course, Red Hat, CentOS. CentOS is kind of going away. So, Rocky will maybe take its place. But it's really depending on the amount of data that you're really looking at and analyzing for your capacity. 2 CPUs, 12 to 16 cores, 32 gigs of memory, and the separate disk for your database is key, right? You want to separate it from your OS and try to have it on a little bit faster disk. So when you start doing those analytics and searches, it comes back quicker. And language support is English and French within the GUI. So PanMove Sync and PanMove CLI, these are the two that are built into PanFS that come with every realm and that's purchased. We'll kind of go into those. So we'll start with PanMove Sync, right? PanMove Sync is a client-side parallelized replication tool. Basically, what it's doing is taking data that's mounted on a client and moving it with rsync from one realm to another, right? So across a volume or NFS or SMB. So the replication between, one file system to another file system, it's in a parallel state, right? You can use multiple clients for its scaling performance. It automatically load balances, but you have a single manager that kind of manages this workload and distributes it across multiple clients. It's included with PanFS, and if it gets interrupted, you can resume. This is kind of what we've done a lot in the past with customers who are new to Panasas and I'm looking to migrate from their legacy storage onto their new bright and shiny storage. And then we have PanView CLI. So PanMove View CLI is the ability to use our latest technology called Fast Rewalk, which gives you quicker response times on getting data back, right? Your storage consumption, objects, user folders, file types and sizes. So if you think about, if you go in and do an LF on a large directory that has millions of files, it takes a long time for that LF to respond back. PanView CLI will give you that faster response time of getting, that file size back quicker. You need the third-party type, if you want any type of graphical user interface, you'll need like Refiner, Tableau to do any type of graphical. You can throw it into any type of spreadsheets, things of that nature, just to get that off that single realm, right? It's a dedicated to one Panasas array. You're not getting that holistic view of your across your whole data center, but it's a great tool for getting all that information off a single realm quickly. Next slide, please. So here's the summary of what we just kind of went over, right? We have PanMove Sync and PanMove CLI. These are our two entry-level products that are included with PanFS. You don't these are command line driven. Then you have PanMove Advanced, which comes with PanMove Analytics. This is more a holistic whole data center application to be able to move data from one storage platform to another and giving you that holistic view of what you've done, data visibility, searching the data. And then you have PanMove Backup and PanMove Archive. These are the add-ons that we have to PanMove Advanced. So if you're looking at backing up or archiving to the cloud, these give you those functionalities. And also one of the things that we don't have in here, but if you have tape as a requirement, we also have that ability to back up off of tape, right? So if that's still a requirement, we have that functionality also. The next slide, please. Perfect.
Okay. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for going through all the detail, and really good to have the actual interface with the customers on this. I found that really interesting. We are going to look at some of the questions that have come in, and well, even before that, first of all, thank you everybody for spending your time with us this morning. I think we took a little over half an hour, so we'll spend a few more minutes and just go over some of your questions at this point. This is recorded, will be on demand. available for you on demand. And for the questions that we may not get to, we will be responding to people offline so that you do get your questions answered. So let's go to the Q&A. Oh, so Sean, so a question about the sync. If we can say more about that. See, does this mean that the system looks for differences and only move assets that differ?
So for PanMove Advanced Sync, there's different options that you can do. There's a point in time. So if you're looking at data on your destination and data on your target, or your source and your target, there is a way to where the system looks at the aging of the data on both sides to be able to sync the data to make sure that they're the same on both. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, there's another question here about demo versions. Is there a demo version available to try out?
So there is a 15-day license, right? So when you install the products, there is a demo license. You activate it and it gives you 15 days to basically get your permanent license. So you can use that as a demo license. We can help you with that, get you set up, get you running so you're not, spending that 15 days trying to get your environment going without and using that up.
Okay, and to tag on to that, I think the other thing is that if you do decide that you want to purchase it, then we'll work with you to get your host ID information and get the license keys created for that. Then you can just keep that same version up and running now as the licensed version. Similarly with all that other add-on features.
Yeah, you don't. The demo turns into a production environment, so you don't have to redo all your configurations.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, this might have come in early on the PanMove server and data movers question about actually sizing the hardware requirements. I'm guessing from the idea that we went into a lot of details, is it pretty difficult? How would we work with them on that? And I imagine this ends up being with.
Yeah, so sizing it's pretty standard, right? The server itself, it's a single server. So those requirements are pretty standard. It's getting into how much data, your SLAs, that the number of PanMove data movers that you'll need and the size of those, right? So getting into the configuration of adding additional PanMove, the data movers to get into the SLA timeframe that you need it in.
Okay, and there's a question about clarifying the difference between on-demand and policy-based. I think we talked about PanMove Advanced being an on-demand capability, and then PanMove Backup and Archive being policy-based.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So really the difference between policy-based and on-demand is really when you're looking at moving data, and it's a point in time. So you have task that needs to be ran and you're moving data from that task. So that task gets ran at 1:00 a.m. Data at that time gets moved. Policy-based, where you're looking at backup, it does more of an incremental type backup, right? You look at the data at 1 a.m., see what's changed, and being able to move the data off at that, right? So when you're moving data, you're not really caring about what's on the destination side. There are some options that we have where we don't care, we just wipe it out, or we look at it and see what, we don't want to wipe out anything newer, but there's not an engine within the database that tracks incremental different versionings of that data. So it comes down to a lot of it dealing with versioning of if you need to come back to, you have version 1, version 2, version 3. And if version 1 gets corrupted, you can restore version 2 or restore that backup version.
Here's another one about data movement and data migration and what's really the difference between those. And
yeah, so the difference really between, we get the question a lot about what's the difference between data move and data migration. So data move is a point in time of moving data. There's not really a cutover scenario of when you're moving the data. At the point of move, the data's quiesced, so there's really not any changes going on. But if you're looking at live data that's on a realm that is in production and you're moving to like a newer system, and you need to have both up and running at the same time so you can do a cutover, then you really need to start looking at data migration and having, if it's a large environment, we have resources to help with that. But there's a point to where you're like, okay, the data synced, now we need to cut over. So you got to quiesce the legacy side and make sure that last sync happens before you bring the new side up and in production. So it's really of what you're looking at between, having to have sync data or quiescing the data on the legacy side or the source side and moving it to the destination side. I hope that helps.
oh, that was good. Let's see, there's a couple more, see if we have time to get to them. Sure, Sean, if you're looking at the questions, there's one about external users, about getting access to the organization, I think getting access to the web UI and how easy it is to do that.
So when we talk about external users, are we talking about users outside of the organization or users outside of the company? Right, they have to be on the local network to be able to get into the server, right? It's a internal IP address, but really it depends on how your environment's set up. We can really kind of look at that and go into more discussion on, are you looking to, allow users externally? But we really have to answer that question, kind of understand a little bit more of what they're looking to do. But they really need to be able to log in. If they can get to the server, then they can you can create a user ID for them.
Yeah, and that's probably pretty key that
Right.
it is the server, not the data movers. So you don't have access to the data movers. You can't sniff and you can't come in off the side. Everything is a secure interface to the PanMove server, and that's where you're going to communicate. So
correct, right? You don't log into the movers. The only communication to data movers is from the data server, the PanMove advanced server.
Here's one, maybe this is a question about the policy-driven copy move. Not sure if the question, is it based on factors like age of data, hot data, code data, file extensions, and all, and wondering if they can apply their own metadata, and maybe the easier ones may be used to move data to tape archive tier. I think we start with that. That's probably the easier one, right? If you have the archive PanMove archive add-on, then that enables you to move to a tape or optical disk archive tier, go to the archive tier of cloud providers as well.
And we have different options, and factors that you're looking at for age of data, size of data, things of that nature, to create that policy driven, right? So we can sit down with you and really look into, your need and how you want to use the application to fit that.
Thanks. There's one final one here. Let's see if we're come at the 45-minute time, and I don't want to go over, but see if we can quickly answer this one. On the new files are being created at one site and need to transfer only new files to a destination site. I'd like to transfer to happen within a minute or so of the new files being created. Can the system do that? I'd like to happen without a human pushing buttons on a UI. So human pushing buttons on a UI would be the PanMove Advanced with the on-demand. So I think some policy-based.
So you're now trying to get into, asynchronous replication or synchronous replication, which is, we do asynchronous replication native with PanFS. So that might be the option you're looking for. PanMove Advanced, when you're starting to look into that type of replication, this is really task driven versus like scheduling of that type.
I think we've gone a minute over, but Sean, I want to thank you. I think we're teamed up again here to this presentation. Hopefully for the people listening, we were able to answer your questions about what we're providing in terms of data visibility and data movement. See, with that, I thank you. Well, this recording will be posted for on-demand viewing as well. And with that, I'll say thank you again for attending.
Thanks, Richio.